K-pop demon hunters versus demon slayer. So the topic of today's video is taking the two universes that fight demons and putting them together. Questions like, what if Huntrix joined the Demon Slayer core? You know, how would they fight Muzan? Maybe even how would the Demon Slayers, how would the Hashira fight Gwima? What sort of magic is going on either side, and how do they play into each other? So it's actually more complex than it might seem, and it causes some interesting dilemmas if the characters were to come together. So let's jump into it.
Yeah!
First, we need to talk about what exactly demons are on either side of the spectrum. So on the Huntrix K-pop demon hunter side, we're actually dealing with something that is more like a spirit. It's not a demon in the physical monster sense that we think of. It's more of a entity that is full of negative emotions, that is moving throughout the world in many ways an invisible way. So they're remaining, free to the naked eye. They can't be seen by the general population, and they're just going around stealing souls. I mean, that's not exactly a physical monster that tears you apart and eats you like we see on the side of Demon Slayer. So Demon Slayer, as I just said, is more on that physical side. We're dealing with demons that are literally going to fight you and drink your blood, right? And this is not surprising. Demon Slayer and KDH are being inspired by completely different folklores, right? You got Korean folklore on the KDH side, and you got Japanese folklore on the Demon Slayer side. So we did discuss quite in depth what is going on in terms of the lore and the magic system of K-pop demon hunters, but that was in a previous video. So go look for that video if you want the in-depth version. But for now, all you really need to know is that they are fighting a spiritual battle, a battle against spirits, and their weapons are designed as such. On the Demon Slayer side, though, like we've already talked about, they are physical. So we're talking physical weapons inspired by Japanese Oni, a lot more demonic-like, and they really couldn't be more different. And that's going to cause some interesting problems for when the characters come together. Speaking of characters, we have some big bads on either side. On KDH's side, we have Gwima, who is your stereotypical big bad demon lord that rules over the underworld, you might call it, while Muzan in the Demon Slayer series is more of a Dracula figure. He is not really going to mess with your soul, but instead going to infect your body with his own cells and turn you into something more monstrous, more powerful than you were without his influence. So an analogy that I like to use for this situation is cars. So think of Gwima like taking the keys to your car. Gwima takes your soul, while Muzan, instead of touching the keys to your car, is just changing the car itself. He is manipulating your body. So while Gwima will literally drive you around, Muzan gives you a supercar and says, as long as you do what I say, you get to keep this amazing vehicle. And of course, if you don't listen to me, I'm gonna total it. I'm gonna destroy it. I'm gonna kill you, essentially. And both of those are different forms of manipulation, one of which is direct control on Gwima's side, and the others is a threat. If you don't do what I say, you're dead. And speaking of death, both of these entities deal with death differently. Gwima deals with people who have already died, and Muzan is dealing with people who never want to die, right? One seeking immortality, and one is just purely always present. They exist beyond life. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, it means a couple things. It means Huntrix, if brought into the Demon Slayer world, is going to be bringing spiritual weapons. This is something Muzan and his demons have never faced, and vice versa. Huntrix has never faced entities as powerful physically as Muzan and his demons. But before we get into the fight between Huntrix and Muzan, let's discuss what sort of environment or situation might even lead to this fight. And this is where it gets really interesting. All right, imagine this. the world of K-pop demon hunters, filled with Gwima, spiritually based demons, and Huntrix, all come over to the Demon Slayer universe, where we have Muzan, we have Tanjiro Kamado and his squad, we have the entire Demon Slayer Corps, and they are going to meet each other and face the same problems. So, just like demon slayers don't want demons to hurt people, Huntrix is going to be the same way. But what's going to be interesting, really interesting in the beginning, is what Gwima does to this situation. Muzan is the epitome of power on a physical basis, but he has no influence on the spiritual realm, right? So when Gwima comes over, Gwima is going to become an entity that is essentially unmatched by anything in the Demon Slayer universe, even Muzan. Muzan, being a physical person, or demon I should say, may not even be aware that Gwima exists, because Gwima, again, exists beyond the physical plane. So if Muzan is capable of realizing that Gwima exists now, and that there's this force that is attempting to cross over into his realm and take it over with spiritual power that he can't match, he's gonna realize that he actually needs Huntrix to be around. Huntrix will be bringing an enemy for which they are the only antidote against, right? They are the silver bullet that if they die, everything's lost. Gwima will flood the material realm with endless spiritually based demons. It's not even the Demon Slayer Corps and Muzan combined would be able to take them out, because they simply don't have the tools to do so, right? They're fighting ghosts in a way. It may not seem like that in the KDH movie, but watch the video that I already made about the deep dive of what's going on in that movie, and it'll explain exactly why I'm coming to that conclusion. But if you haven't watched that yet, you're gonna have to just trust me on it. So Muzan is going to see Gwima as an ultimate threat, and therefore will need Huntrix to establish the golden honeymoon, or at least keep up the regular honeymoon. This situation right here, where Muzan is incapable of defeating Huntrix, but Huntrix needs to defeat Gwima, and in the meantime, there's all these competing motivations. It's a really interesting situation, because you have kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? That's the situation we're in. So the second Huntrix and Gwima enter the world, Muzan is probably gonna go quiet, gonna go into hiding. He's gonna play the long game. If he messes up and kills Huntrix, he just screwed himself. He screwed everyone, because Huntrix, again, was the only thing that could defeat Gwima. So Gwima becomes the big bad right now. Muzan may actually team up with the Demon Slayers and Huntrix to help establish that golden honeymoon and forever keep Gwima out. So let's talk a little bit about what that might entail. How exactly would the golden honeymoon play into the Demon Slayer universe? Well, this is also interesting. This one is a little bit more literal, right? So we have a completely new world. It's a world that is thrust back in time compared to the world that we see in K-pop Demon Hunters. In K-pop Demon Hunters, it's the modern world. We have iPhones, social media, big elaborate concerts with microphones and electric musical instruments. If your powers are music-based, they are in the perfect setting. But when they get thrust back to a completely different era of the world that we see in Demon Slayer, where technology is really low, nothing too advanced has been created yet, they are going to be limited to really just how far their voices can carry in the real world, right? There isn't going to be any videos to capture their music. There isn't going to be any cameras to live stream their performances. They are just going to have to sing. And whoever is around to hear them will be the source of their power. That is going to weaken them greatly. And when we look at the lore of K-pop Demon Hunters, we see that there were hunters back in the old days that couldn't create the golden honeymoon. And it's not exactly specified why. It's possible that there is just something innately special about Rumi, Mira, and Zoe that allow them to create this golden honeymoon.
Happy fans, happy honeymoon!
But more likely, It's simply because they have more fans. There's more potential for those souls to power them, right? The Hunters in the old days may have been just as good as Huntrix. They just didn't have the tools or the situation that yielded a golden honeymoon. And that, unfortunately, is likely what's going to happen when Huntrix crosses over to the Demon Slayer universe. The most likely outcome of Demon Slayer and K-pop Demon Hunters combining is Gwima winning because Huntrix will no longer be able to establish the golden honeymoon. Muzan may not even realize that he needs to keep Huntrix alive, so Huntrix may die, and then Gwima is left unchecked, just given the material world to take over. So that sucks, but let's try to come to a happier conclusion. Let's say best case scenario happens, Muzan teams up or at least leaves Huntrix alone and lets them establish the golden honeymoon, and let's assume that they are successful in that.
Yes.
They somehow create a situation where the golden honeymoon can exist and does exist, and Gwima is forever locked away in the demon realm. Well, this is interesting. The first thought you might be thinking, something you might have been thinking for a couple minutes now, is hang on. If the golden honeymoon exists, wouldn't Muzan and all his demons also get banished? That is a fair question. And the answer is definitely not. They would not. And it comes back down to what we mean by demon. A demon in Demon Slayer is very, very different than a demon in K-pop Demon Hunters. And because the magic of Huntrix and the honeymoon is targeting these incomplete lives, these souls that have lost parts of themselves, these creatures that have no soul inside of them, then if that's what the magic is targeting, then it won't work on the demons of Demon Slayer. Even the most heinous demons in Demon Slayer have souls. They might be forgetful of their past. You know, they might have suppressed memories, suppressed personality traits, but their soul is there. And every time we see Tanjiro defeat a demon, we see that soul pass on. And that means they are kind of like Rumi. Rumi is, quote, a demon, but she has a complete soul and is therefore unaffected by the magic and the ritual that Huntrix uses against demons. So no, Muzan does not need to worry about the honeymoon affecting him and his demons. In fact, he doesn't even need to worry about Huntrix's weapons messing with him. Huntrix doesn't really have a way of defeating Muzan. So that's gonna be a problem for Huntrix. So let's say our best case scenario happens, Huntrix creates the golden honeymoon and Gwima is forever cast away. Well, now they are dealing with possibly an even worse threat. It's now an unchecked Muzan. Of course, we still have the Demon Slayers, which are gonna be pivotal, but if Huntrix was alone, and they were the only people they could count on to defeat Muzan and his demons, they would be absolutely cooked. They would have no chance.
Why?
Let's just look at what a battle between Huntrix and one demon might look like. Let's just say it's a lower rank. Huntrix is strong. They are stronger, faster, and more agile than your average person, especially your average K-pop star. But they are nowhere near the agility, the speed, the strength of a demon, especially a ranked demon. They are so outmatched that I doubt Huntrix would even be able to land one single hit on a Demon Slayer demon before getting completely eviscerated. There's just no shot that Huntrix has in defeating really any of the demons in Demon Slayer. So that's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate, especially given Huntrix's main strategy, and that's to be in the middle of everything, in the spotlight. That's very different than what we see in the Demon Slayer core, right? The Hashira, even the most powerful of the Hashira, are still in hiding most of the time, right? When they give off their location to Muzan, that's a huge deal. That's a final battle situation, because once they do that, they know that they either win or lose here. So most of the time, being sneaky, fighting on your terms, That's been the strategy of the Demon Slayers, and it's kept them alive for as long as it has. Huntrix doesn't do that. So they're gonna need to either form a new plan and a new way of figuring things out, or they're gonna instantly get murked by Muzan and his demons. Instantly. Muzan may not even care to kill them, honestly, because what would Huntrix do to oppose him? Really nothing. I mean, they might seem like good vessels for his blood if they're willing to work with him, but beyond that, I mean, their weapons aren't going to work against him. Their weapons are like a ritual that casts away incomplete lives, soulless bodies. He has a soul, he is a complete being, his body is just infected in a way that is physical, not spiritual. So Huntrix is not doing much against Muzan, but let's say they join the Demon Corps. Can they at least help? Can they at least supply something that could tip the balance in the favor of the Demon Slayers? And honestly, not really. There's really not much they have to offer, but hear me out. So again, their weapons don't work. They are physically stronger than the average person, but nowhere near a Demon Slayer. And they don't know breathing styles. The thing that they're best at is being loud and destroying demons with overwhelming momentum. But they've never been challenged in a way like this. Their momentum would swiftly slow down because they would just get killed. So in this case, they may actually hurt the Demon Slayers. If you bring Huntrix and mix them with Demon Slayers, you're bringing people who love the spotlight with people who fight in the shadows. That doesn't really mesh. So best case scenario for Huntrix helping out is to just fully adopt the way of the Demon Slayer. I will say, if they do that, they would likely be pretty effective. I mean, not only are they innately stronger, faster, more agile, they do have that magic that allows them to team up in a fight really well. They're very coordinated. Harmony is a big thing for them. So if they did try to adopt breathing styles, that could get really interesting. So imagine Huntrix essentially becoming Hashira of their own, right? They would go through Demon Slayer training and become maybe replacements for Tengen, the sound Hashira. Maybe they would form their own Hashira group, like the music Hashira. Maybe. I could see them having some pretty sweet forms, like, I don't know, harmony form, or harmony breathing, first form, golden. Like, that'd be sweet. Or like music breathing, second form, how it's done. Maybe not that one. That one was terrible. But something like that could be pretty cool. But in the end, honestly, in complete conclusion, they are not well equipped to fight Muzan. They're the only thing that kills Gwima, but besides that, they're useless. So if they can become Demon Slayers, then great. They would probably help out big time. But that's kind of a cop-out because they're not Demon Slayers. They're hunters. And as hunters, they're gonna get murdered in the Demon Slayer universe, point blank. So I hope this was interesting for you. Again, if you want to know more about Huntrix, go watch that video I made before this one. In the end, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think would happen if Huntrix were to enter into the realm of Demon Slayer. For now, peace.